Guys, what's up? Got a bunch of papers here. So it's a bunch of like quotes, stuff like that, right? So this first quote says, thinking this long has created problems that this type of thinking cannot solve. Okay, so that was Einstein, Albert Einstein. He's a smart guy back in the day, right? And white hair and everything, and the scientific glasses and all that shit, right? He's a pretty smart dude. And he was, well, the reason he was saying this is basically the same thing as the guy that says that, you've heard that quote like over and over again, right? To do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, it's pointless, right? It's insanity, right? That's the definition of insanity, is because you're doing the same exact set of thinking, actions, routine, patterns, whatever you have here, right? Same way, over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Now you're expecting the same result. You know what? There's some logic to that. If you're liking the results you're getting, so you do the same thing because you want to veer off, you want to keep that routine, that pattern, and you're not trying to improve upon it. You're just trying to get that same result every time, and it's working for you. I get it, right? But as soon as it's not working, you got to change something, right? Because that's how we break through plateaus in life, right? Whether it be the weight on the scale, the inches on the waist, friggin' if you're trying to get a certain type of a job, right? And you can't get the fucker. You're not going to fill the application out necessarily every single time the exact same way, right? Unless it's really routine to where there's nothing really you can do, no wiggle room. Like, say it's like a really dry one. So you're not going to put extra shit if it's going to be like just address and this and that and the other thing, right? That's going to seem the same, right? Unless you move, right? Then you better put the fucking address you're at. But other than that, you got to put down, right, different types of things in that application, right? If you answer it a certain way, and you think that it's not the answer that needs to be presented, then maybe you need to find something else out, right? So maybe that answer is not how you even word things. It may be the fact that they may have a job history, so you might have to have certain credentials that you don't fucking have, right? So what you got to do, you got to go out and get those credentials. And if you don't have them, is it even feasible or possible to get the job without those credentials, right? How do you get them if you don't have them? If you don't need them, but there's maybe something else that you need to spruce up that resume a little bit, right? Then you better freaking go do it if you really want that job, right? Otherwise, you're hitting the head against the wall, boom, 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 boom. If you think certain things that you need, that you're not attacking afterwards. It's just common sense, right? So you got to ask questions. You got to ask the right people the right questions. And then, of course, you can't be just an asshole about it and go, okay, thank you. And then they say do this, this, and this, and you do nothing different, and you continue to turn the same thing. It's like, you're going to be like, well, this fucking guy not know how to fucking listen, right? So they're going to definitely hire you now because you can't follow a simple instruction on how to fill out an application. So when they tell you to do a direct order or a verbal cue or things like that in order to get a job done in a certain status, in a certain endeavor of life, or a certain job title or job description, it's not worth. It's not logical. Let's put it that way. It's not logical for you to just ask one thing and do another. It's pointless. Then don't fucking ask the question, right? So it drives me nuts with that kind of shit. So that's the first quote, and that's always the way that is with the definition of sanity, but this is slightly different, right? And what's different about this is that it's this way of thinking, this old school style of thinking, right, has been in that pattern so long. So now it's kind of trying to break out of that setting of finding clarity or changing variables or changing formulas or just changing and thinking outside the box, right, to attack that solution and to get through this adversity, right? And if you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then that thing hasn't getting outside of this box, you don't get the fuck out of there, right? You can't think that way. You have to think of something else, right? And what this means is normally subconscious, right? So that's why it's dangerous. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's stupid. It's insanity because a lot of times you're doing the same thing and you're complaining about it. It's like, why you didn't do nothing to change it, right? But this is slightly different because sometimes you don't realize that being stuck in this rut, you're not going to be able to figure out a solution, right? And so that's when you got to get creative, and you got to switch that mind, is that brain, and you got to use your creative brain to go and find that solution, right? You listen to the proper channels, and you connect with the universe and spirit world, and you listen to the different voices in your head, and your different wiring and system in the brain waves and everything else, and then you collect that data and you figure it out, right? And you got to listen to the right voices, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, and in a different video, you got different types of people out there, right? We all hear voices, all of us, whether people admit it or not. A lot of people don't admit it because they don't want people to think they're crazy, okay? But there's a difference between hearing voices and not knowing the difference between what's real and what's in your head, right? Or coming from inside your head, but the outside noise, and so you think it's this guy over here, and he ain't saying nothing, and then this person over here is saying something, and you think it's in your head, and you're going, what? Right? So you got to know the difference, who's talking, where the noise is coming from, if it's your imagination or if it's a real person, and if you can't distinguish those things, then it becomes schizophrenia, right? And then you need the medication for that, right? So that's why I get upset with people in my family, things like that, because they think I have schizophrenia, because they hear voices, and that's not the case, right? I only hear voices if I'm tapping in the spirit world of the universe, or just getting really stressed out or whatever, or just whatever it is, right? And so that's why, to tap into those good voices, I can do that when I'm focused and in the zone and everything else. So we have to listen to the right voices. You have to know the difference between the real voices and the fake voices, fiction versus fact, real versus surreal, versus irrelevant versus, false voices in your head. There's a difference, right? And so that kind of clarity comes through, maturity and a gift, basically, because, not everybody hears the voices to the same extent. And the crazy motherfuckers that can't tell the difference are the ones that you hear about in the papers, right? Because they go crazy and God tells them to do this and the devil tells them to do that. You got to think logically, guys. If it's God, if it's the devil, but they're telling you to shoot and kill people, it's a demonic force, guys. God's not going to tell you to go shoot these people for no reason. It doesn't work like that, okay? It's illogical. So, now it's different if the voice is saying, shoot these guys because they're coming at you with guns, and you look and they're coming with guns. A different story, right? So it's usually going to be a war setting and everything else, or, if you're a really successful Italian family or Japanese family or Hispanic family, or whatever else, right? Certain types of families have become great business owners and things like that, and occasionally they break out a little bit of violence and stuff depending on the family, right? So I don't know anything about that, right? Because I'm not involved in any of that kind of thing, right? I do very innocent, legal, type work. I work in a casino, I work as a personal trader. There's no, bada bing, bada boom with guns and blah, 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 and, shooting people up, and it's not my cup of tea, right? I've never been involved in any kind of organized crime whatsoever, right? I always go, everything I do is legal, including the drugs I take. They're all legal drugs and this and the other thing, usually, and if they're not, they're through a doctor, and, things like that, right? Personal use, blah, blah, right? So it doesn't count. So the point is, and there's a difference between being a drug addict and using things for performance enhancing, and it's a big difference too when I go round and round with my family about this and that and the other thing too, right? So I get annoyed with that, right? Telling me how to live, telling me what I can and can't put on my body, telling me what jobs I can and can't do. I don't do a 9-to-5 job. I do 2 part-time jobs, or a part-time job and a part-time business. Now I'm unemployed. Now I'm a bum on the street. Now, come on, man. I'm still working. I'm working 2 jobs, right? Not 1, but 2. Man, that gets me annoyed. So move on to the next thing, okay? So if you can't tell the difference between real voices and fake voices, or the voices in your head and the voices outside your head, get some medication for that. Zyprexa, or, talk to your doctor about maybe potentially having schizophrenia or whatever. I'm not a doctor, can't really tell you what to do on that. You got to talk to the professionals. So then we go to the next thing. So imagination is a preview to what's coming, right? Of what's to come. So that's Walt Disney, right? He talks about it all the time. So you come out there and you present, with things that are going to be portrayed as, believe it or not, magic, right? You say, well, it's magic, this is bullshit, right? No, it's not, because when you go to the magic show, we all know that, maybe for really little kids, maybe we don't know, but we know that there's, some kind of a secret hidden trick and this and that and the other thing. That's why I don't like. At first I was like, ooh, that's cool. Then I got pissed off because it's like, I want to see that fucking masked man show. I'm trying to do that stuff. It's putting magicians out of business. Plus, it takes the awe and whoa, how did you do that? And you show how it's done. It's like, if you're not going to get into that profession, you don't want to know how it's done, right? If you are getting into that profession, you don't want it on national television so everybody knows how it's done, because then you go and do it, and everybody goes, oh yeah, so that Ripley's Believe It or Not, or whatever, the the uncovering of the magician. This it's, come on, man. It's like, snort that, because now it takes away from the awe factor, right? And so anytime you deliver anything, I don't care if you're a car salesman, I don't care if you're an athlete presenting your muscles to your physique to the world, or to a small crowd, or if you get a bum day and fucking everybody's tired, they go home and because they've been through the bikini and the fitness and the figure and this and the that and the novice and all that other bullshit, right? And freaking tall class, short class, wellness class, right? All these different categories, right? Which is great for the sport to a certain extent. I like how they did the Emerald Cup and they divide it in 2 days, right? So it goes nice and short, 2 to 3 hours, no more than that. When they extend out to 4 or 5 hours, you're the freak of the night. You come out, crowd, there is no crowd, right? A couple of hardcore people that stick around, usually your friends and family, right? And then it's like, you're supposed to be the fucking freak of the night. You're supposed to be freaking, posing for, all these people. Everybody's too tired. It's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? We're going through all these classes. Everybody's got their trophies. Some people weren't wanting to stay the whole time, but now they're tired, but they're pissed off. They didn't feel like the play's tight enough, and yada yada. I get it. I've been one of those people before. I've been like, man, I want to stay around, but I'm fucking tired. I didn't place well in a place. I got to go like a drawing board. I've talked to judges, blah, blah. So, I usually try to stay around, till the whole thing. Don't think I make a habit of that, right? But there's some people do, and I don't blame them, right? Get tired, you do your thing, you do your job, you get your trophy, you've spent anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to go, and those all the expenses, and this and that and the other thing, and on top of that, you probably pay for a coach and your supplements and all that, and so you spend a lot of money, right? So you're tired, you're broke, a lot in some cases, and you just, I get it. So the point is, it's the reason I brought that up, like sometimes there's not very many people, is that some people get, disheartened, right? Including competitors. Say you know how it works now. You've been in it for a little, it's not your first rodeo, right? You don't make first call out. You don't make second call out. You're the third call out. You're on the end. Okay? Now you gotta go do your routine. I'm just gonna go out here, do this. No, go out there and fucking still pose like you're the winner, right? You put on a show, these fucking people, whether they're family members or friends or just hardcore, sports fans, they kind of watch you, right? So don't come out and give a half-ass show, right? You paid the money, you've got this far, you've done all this shit, first place, last place. Go out there and have fun and pose like the winner, and then go back to the drawing board and then figure out what you did wrong. But use that night show to do what you're supposed to do. It's your job as an athlete for the NPC or IFBB or whatever, or the National Federation, whatever you're competing in, to go out and put on a show for the crowd and be the best that you could possibly be, because that's what life's about. And you got that aura factor. If you've got a phenomenal posing routine, if your physique is only, halfway there, but it's decent, but your posing routines are off the charts, it's phenomenal. Okay, I hit everything, bang, it was, wow, and you're going to place probably higher the next time because you've left an impression in the judge's eyes, right? And so, in their minds and shit. So, and when you're doing other things, if you're a magician, if you're reading something, and but you've got a gift and you're like at another level, and you're gonna put goosebumps on people, and you're gonna make them mesmerized, and it's like what Walt Disney calls showtime, right? You come out and you make them want more, right? You come out, you awe them with your presence, you awe them with your light show and your flattery and your freaking, music and whatever your niche is, your talent, your purpose, and you bring that to the drawing board, right? And you put on a show and you make it big where you're at. So if it's a big time or it's a small time, even if it's a small time, you make it up like it's a big time. That's why sometimes you go to these little things, little events and stuff, small little circuses, or these little tiny little competitions, or whatever, and they blow your socks off because it's so well put on, and the people around are so passionate, and they're going out of their way to show you and teach you and mesmerize you about what everything is all about, right? As you get drawn in, right? And that's fantastic. That's where the magic is, right? And so that's like your gift now from God. With great power comes great responsibility.